This Promnicast can be found everywhere. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and more.
Hello, welcome to Civic Leaders. I'm Bert Lowry, Market Intelligence Officer at Springbrook Software. Today I'm talking with Mark Grabow, resident Hatfield Fellow at the City of Portland, Oregon. Question number 1. Local government requires commitment to serving others. What inspires you as a public employee?
When I was a small child, my family and I lived for a number of years, for the better part of my childhood, for the first 10 years of my life. We lived a majority of time out in the woods, either in a tent or a trailer. And throughout this time, there was a lot of love with my family, within my family, that helped bring us through it. And also there was a lot of tribulation. It was a rough time for us. And it was the kindnesses of others, the kind acts of others, of churches, of people we'd meet in campgrounds, of random folks on the street, extending their kindnesses to us, that really impacted me and shaped my life and made me want to be a servant to others. We would go door to door selling ornaments to pay for our school books. And I realized as I've gone through this that I want to be that person to offer some help, to offer some voice to another family who also is struggling while they're trying to make ends meet to maybe just get enough money to pay for their school books.
Question number 2. With such a strong motivation to serve others, how do you carry that with you day to day?
The number one thing for me is that it's not enough for me as a dedicated public servant professional, it's not enough for me to simply work in the local government. That if I truly believe in my mission and my cause to be the best public servant I can be, I need to get involved out of the office. Out of the office, when I clock out at 5 o'clock, I'm always a public professional. I'm always a public servant professional. When I clock out of work at 5 o'clock, for 24 hours for the rest of the day until I clock back in the next day, I'm still a dedicated public service professional. And so for me, that number one is to stay involved, to get involved, to give back, volunteer outside of work, do something for the community outside of work, because it's not enough to just do something as a public service professional for the local government. What I must do, if I truly believe in my cause of service, I can't just do it for a paycheck. I need to do it when there's no paycheck given, and that's volunteerism. Doing it outside of the work, that's huge for me. That's my number one.
Question number 3. At what moment did you realize that you could actually make a tangible difference in the world?
When I was 17 years old, I was living in Canada. I'd been kicked out of the house by my father when I was a teenager and had ended up going to 6 different high schools. And this was a challenging part in my coming of age and figuring out what it was that I wanted to do, what path. And I enjoyed working in the service and volunteering. And my stepfather encouraged me to, because I wanted to try something a little bit more outside of the box. He encouraged me to apply for a position on a suicide hotline. And while I was on the suicide hotline, I got a position. I became a certified and trained mediation, crisis intervention, suicide prevention mentor. And I only had one bad call, one hard call in the amount of time that I'd done it. And most of the time it's cry for help calls or a person calling because they are lonely. And I experienced a person call in who had slit their wrists at the elbows and popped a bottle of 40 sleeping pills. And there was a short window of time for this person to receive help before dying. And in a nutshell, a person must be given permission to send an ambulance unless there's imminent threat towards another. So I didn't have this permission to send the ambulance, and it was a discussion, a conversation, a heavy conversation of what is the point of living? Why live? What do you have to live for? And stripping down a lot of what we carry as a facade and getting down to the root of what am I hurt about and what do I want to change? How can I have a better life? And as will happen in these hectic times, there's someone that sits in on the call with me, the person who sat in on the call with me to give guidance and to encourage, yes, you're saying the right thing. They told me that I'd done a really well done job. The person accepted life. We got the ambulance there on time. The ambulance paramedic technician got on the phone and told me that about 10 minutes the person would have bled out. And we saved the man's life. I saved a man's life. And that was a defining moment for me in public service.
The Hatfield Fellowship Program provides leadership skills and experience to dedicated postgraduates. How has that equipped you for what's next?
It's a great opportunity. It's really rewarding, though it's challenging and it's hard to get into. So my biggest takeaway from the Hatfield Fellowship and what I would say to other young emerging professionals is persevere. Persevere, persevere, persevere. Don't give up. Keep fighting for it, because if you're passionate about public service, this line of work in local government is a great career, but persevere. It's been hard for me, even being selected as a Hatfield Fellow and having done the other things that might have projected or put me on a different trajectory. Running the chapter, the ICMA chapter at PSU as the president and founder was neat, but it got me out there. It didn't get me, maybe got a foot in the door, but it didn't get me through any doors, and it was to persevere. Getting a Hatfield Fellowship got me out there. It's not going to give me that next job, but it's going to help me find, okay, if this is what I want to do, then I need to persevere. I'm working right now with a number of these other professionals, the other of these 14 Hatfield Fellows, incredibly bright people, and we're all up against the same challenge to establish ourselves in this really rewarding career of service. So persevere. That's my biggest takeaway for me every day.
Finally, Mark, what are you looking forward to in your career in local government?
I am super excited about the opportunities we have to make some really significant change. It's exciting where we're at right now as a country, and it's 2015. I mean, we're living in the future right now. We are living the future every day. So I'm really excited for the change, the opportunity that breeds. When I worked in disabilities before in my previous career, we had this slogan, this adage that we would say, and it was, challenge is opportunity. And we would say this, I would say this to kids as a mantra, challenge is opportunity. Because as I would encourage these people with whom I worked to meet every day while they embraced it with a disability, challenge is opportunity. It's going to be a challenge every day, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to find those opportunities to make it better. So right now, what I'm really excited for is that there are some big challenges. We have some serious challenges, some questions about our water resources, about the way that we're going to interact in environment, about increasingly dense urban areas, urbanization, and increasingly expanding urban renewal boundaries. How are we going to interact with all of these? So this intersection of us and the environment and government, and how the policy all works out. Suffice it to say, I'm excited for where we're headed and the opportunities that are evident.
A true public servant. That was Mark Grabow, resident Hatfield Fellow at the City of Portland, Oregon. I'm Bert Lowry with Springbrook Software, and this has been Civic Leaders. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Civic Leaders is a Springbrook Software Promnicast. Visit sprbrk.com for more. Syndication support is provided by emerging local government leaders. Visit elgl.org for more exclusive content. This series is produced and distributed by the VOLSTA Media Network. Be sure to check out other great shows, episodes, and more at volsta.com.